Alright, 6 o'clock p.m. Thursday. We're not going to prep some Dungeons & Dragons until later. Instead, we're going to spend 30 minutes studying Pathfinder, because we're switching over to Pathfinder this year. For, reasons. Just reasons, I don't know. Could be anything. Could be any reason at all. Anyways, so we left off with crafting, so we're going to jump into deception now. If anybody's hanging out in chat and the music is too loud, let me know, and I will turn it down. Otherwise, let's get going. Alright, deception is a charisma-based skill. Oh, it's a little loud for me, honestly. There we go. It's a charisma-based skill, and you can trick and mislead others using disguises, lies, and other forms of subterfuge. There are a number of items that will provide you bonuses. Quite a few items. Oh, yeah, that's a lot of items. And there are a ton of related feats, but we're going to look at those last. Alright, what can we do with deception? The untrained actions that you could do with deception. For one Pac-Man, you can create a diversion. This is the mental trait, and with a gesture, a trick, or some distracting words, you can create a diversion that draws creatures' attention elsewhere. If you use a gesture or trick, this action gains the manipulate trait. If you use distracting words, it gains the auditory and linguistic traits. Attempt a single deception check and compare it to the perception DCs of the creatures whose attention you're trying to divert. Whether or not... Hey, what's up, Dom? Whether or not you succeed, creatures you attempt to divert gain a +4 circumstance bonus to their perception DCs against your attempts to create a diversion for 1 minute. Oh, that's nice. Okay. Success. You become hidden to each creature whose perception DC is less than or equal to your result. The hidden condition allows you to sneak away. This lasts until the end of your turn, or until you do anything except step or use the hide or the sneak action of the stealth skill. Keeping in mind that step means you only move 5 feet. Stride is what lets you move your full speed, which your average speed is 25. I'm just going to keep repeating stuff like that until I learn it. If you strike a creature, the creature remains flat-footed against that attack, and you become observed. If you do anything else, you become observed just before you act, unless the GM determines otherwise. And failure, you don't divert the attention of any creature whose perception DC exceeds your result, and those creatures are aware you were trying to trick them. So that's a lot to take in. Basically, there's like different tiers of stealth. Unlike 5e, where it's very much like the DM will determine whether or not you stealth successfully, they have a very complex and thought out system for stealth, which is covered under the stealth skill, which we probably should have done stealth first, because it's one of the more complicated ones that affects all of the other skills. But effectively, you can be like hidden, but you can also be undetected. So like undetected is even better than hidden. Undetected means nobody knows you're there at all. Hidden means they know you're there, but they can't see you. So there's like a difference there between the two. And then observed is like the basic thing where everybody knows where you are. And then there's a couple of others, I think, but that's kind of the idea, is like you always want to be undetected, because then nobody's even looking for you. Anyways, this lets you get hidden because people look away from you just long enough, maybe, for you to get away and hide. But you're going to need to be pretty close to something to hide behind, because you can't really stay hidden in plain sight, right? Because as soon as they start looking for you, they'll just observe you right away. It's actually a very good system for stealth. Alright, another thing that you can do, untrained, is impersonate. This is concentrate, exploration, manipulate, and secret. I like that this is an exploration action. You create a disguise to pass yourself off as someone or something you are not. Assembling a convincing disguise takes 10 minutes and requires a disguise kit, but a simpler, quicker disguise might do the job if you're not trying to imitate a specific individual at the GM's discretion. In most cases, creatures have a chance to detect your deception only if they use the seek action to attempt perception checks against your deception DC. And again, in Pathfinder 2, insight and perception are the same skill, which makes sense because they both run off of wisdom. So there you go. So you don't have to invest in two different things. You got good senses or you don't have good senses, basically. If you're disguised as a specific individual, the GM might give creatures you interact with a circumstance bonus based on how well they know the person you're imitating. Or the GM might roll a secret deception check even if you aren't directly interacting with others. I will always be rolling as many secret dice as possible in my games. So Crash's hidden rolls better get this shit together so that this Crash can have some hidden rolls. Success. You trick the creature into thinking you're the person you're disguised as. You might have to attempt a new check if your behavior changes. Notice there's no critical success here. That's interesting. Failure. The creature can tell you're not who you claim to be. And critical failure. The creature can tell you're not who you claim to be, and it recognizes you if it would know you without a disguise. Well, that's interesting. So they know that you're faking if you fail, but they don't know who you are still because you are still technically wearing a disguise. That's pretty cool. Another thing you can do untrained, thank goodness, is lie. This is an auditory, concentrate, linguistic, mental secret. I wonder if there are creatures that are immune to all mental abilities, and that also means that you can't use something mundane like just lying to them. It'd be kind of cool. You try to fool someone with an untruth. You deliver them a deception, as it were. Doing so takes at least 1 round, or longer if the lie is elaborate. You roll a single deception check and compare it against the perception DC of every creature you are trying to fool. Keep in mind, in Pathfinder, defenders never win ties. Whoever rolls the dice is winning the tie, because there's only one person that's ever rolling dice. There's never roll-offs. So there's one person is rolling against another person's static number, and if you meet that number, you win. So active person is always going to win on a tie. I like that a lot. The GM might give them a circumstance bonus based on the situation and the nature of the lie you're trying to tell. Elaborate or highly unbelievable lies are much harder to get a creature to believe than simple or more believable lies. And some lies are so big that it's impossible to get anyone to believe them. At the GM's discretion, if a creature initially believes your lie, it might attempt a perception check later to sense motive against your deception DC and realize it's a lie. This usually happens if the creature discovers enough evidence to counter your statements. And I like this a lot too, because you're rolling it actively, and you might get really lucky and just get a fantastic lie. But over time, if they are suspicious and they try to suspect you, you're relying on your flat roll, like your flat check. It's just whatever a 10 plus your modifier is. I just think that's really, really cool. There's no critical success, there's no critical failure. The success, the target believes your lie. Failure, the target doesn't believe your lie and gains a +4 circumstance bonus against your attempts to lie for the duration of your conversation. The target is also more likely to be suspicious of you in the future. So those are the only things you can use deception for untrained raw. So what can you do trained? There is one particular combat action that is very good, and it is called a feat. You are within melee reach of the opponent, is the requirement to feint, and it is a mental skill. With a misleading flourish, you leave an opponent unprepared for your real attack. Attempt a deception check against that opponent's perception DC. If you critically succeed, you throw your enemy's defenses against you entirely off. The target is flat-footed against melee attacks that you attempt against it until the end of your next turn. Success. Your foe is fooled, but only momentarily. The target is flat-footed against the next melee attack that you attempt against it before the end of your current turn. And then critical failure. Your feint backfires. You are flat-footed against melee attacks the target attempts against you until the end of your next turn. That's not good. So, why would you risk so much for essentially a +2 to the attack roll, right? Because all flat-footed does is lower their armor DC by 2. Well, some abilities like sneak attack, they need to be flat-footed for it to go off. Also, remember, I didn't understand this until I started playing the game. Every single plus that you can get your hands on is gold, because everything can critically hit. Everything can critically hit. So instead of waiting around for nat 20s, you can create better opportunities to get crits by giving yourself those bonuses, because as soon as you get 10 more than you needed, whatever you're trying to do is a crit. Also keep in mind that there's only 3 kinds of bonuses, and they only stack with each other. They don't stack. All right, so there's 3 different types of bonuses that you can stack together, but you only get the best of each of those 3 categories. So like any chance you get to get a bonus, you want that bonus. You see what I'm saying? Because there's not a lot of bonuses. In 5e, they made a decision when they made the rules that nothing could stack if it had the same name. The problem with that is the game's been out for 10 years, content bloat, there's a lot of abilities now. So you could stack a guidance with a bardic inspiration, with a bond of unity, with a bless, with a resistance, with and like by the time you're done, you have all these bonuses, and then miscellaneous bonus, magical bonus, racial bonus, so many bonuses. Here in this system, you get 3 bonuses, and they seem really small, but like they add up, because again, anything can be a crit. So it does seem like, I'm spending a whole action and I'm risking being flat-footed to do this, but to get that extra 2 points that might kick you into a critical hit, it's worth it. It's worth it. Certainly more worth it than taking a 3rd attack with a -10 penalty. Anthou 1998, I am definitely enjoying it. Enjoying what I've seen and what I have played so far. It's a lot of fun. Alright, let's take a look at the Deception feats. Alright. All kinds of experiences and trainings can shape your character beyond what you learn by advancing your class. Abilities that require a degree of training but can be learned by anyone, not only members of certain ancestries or classes, are called defeats. Alright, so we know what feats are. Let's get in here. Alright, the first feat we're looking at is Charlatan. This is from Gods and Magic. You've learned to mimic the abilities of spellcasters by studying their flourishes and words. When you activate a magic item to generate a spell effect, attempt a deception check. If you succeed against the onlooker's perception DC, to that onlooker, you appear to cast that spell instead. Onlookers who successfully recognize the spell realize that you used a magic item, though those who later successfully identify the magic still can't determine that the source of the effect was a magic item. What a weird feat. I know that Kishara from Skull and Shackles would 100% have taken this feat, because she delighted in fooling the party about not just her class, but her age, her gender, and everything else. But man, what a weird ability. Okay. It's flavorful. Charming Liar. Alright, this is from the core book. Your charm allows you to win over those you lie to. When you get a critical success using the lie action, the target's attitude towards you improves by 1 step, as though you succeeded at using diplomacy to make an impression. This works only once per conversation, and if you critically succeed against multiple targets using the same result, you choose 1 creature's attitude to improve. You must be lying to impart seemingly important information, inflate your status, or ingratiate yourself which trivial or irrelevant lies can't achieve. That's kind of neat. Alright, let's see. Lengthy diversion is a common core skill, or feat. Here we go. When you critically succeed to create a diversion, you continue to remain hidden after the end of your turn. God damn. Do they just keep looking off into the distance for the thing you pointed at? This effect lasts for an amount of time that depends on the diversion and the situation, as determined by the GM, minimum 1 additional round. That's actually very good mechanically. Oh my god. Okay. Lie to me is a common core feat. And what do we got? You can use deception to weave traps to trip up anyone trying to deceive you. You can engage in conversation with someone trying to lie to you. Oh, sorry. If you engage in conversation with someone trying to lie to you, use your deception DC if it is higher than your perception DC to determine whether they succeed. This doesn't apply if you don't have a back and forth dialogue, such as when someone attempts to lie during a long speech. Wow, that's incredibly cool, because then you could just focus on the deception skill and you don't actually need to worry about the perception skill. Though honestly, perception is such a valuable skill, I don't know. I feel like you'd probably want to train perception also, but if you had to, I mean, if you were spread too thin, this would be pretty useful. Plus, thematically, it's really cool. Let's see. Secret speech. This is an uncommon skill from, I guess, Pathfinder magazine. And this is from the Age of Ashes adventure path. So I believe an uncommon feat has to be trained or taught to you. Oh, you can't train in perception? Oh shit. I didn't know that. Are you sure? You only get boosts from your class? Oh wow. Alright. Well in that case, that feat is really good. That's a really good feat then. My understanding of an uncommon feat is that you must be trained. Something of uncommon rarity requires special training or comes from a particular culture or part of the world. Some character choices give access to uncommon options, and the GM can choose to allow access for anyone. Less is known about uncommon creatures than common creatures. They typically can't be summoned. The DC of recall knowledge checks related to these creatures is increased by 2. So yeah, like any uncommon or rare feat, you can't just pick them when you level up. Choose a secret society, such as the Lacanifex or the Bellflower Network. You've learned that society's secret cant or jargon, enabling you to share hidden messages when signing or speaking with others who have learned it. If an observer succeeds at a perception check against your deception DC, when you do this, they realize you are passing a message but fail to discern its content, unless they subsequently succeed at a society check against your deception DC. On a critical success, they learn not only the message, but also who you are passing the message to. Special, you can take this feat multiple times. You learn a different secret language each time for a different secret society. That's pretty cool. Let's see. Backup disguise. That's when you wear a costume under your costume. I don't actually know. This is an uncommon skill. It is only available to experts in deception. And you must be a member of the Firebrand to gain access to them once they reach the rank of second mark. And this is from the character guide. You have a specific disguise that you keep at the ready, worn underneath your outer garment. By the way, tearaway clothes are available in the core rulebook. So you could just buy tearaway clothes. There you go. So, other than just being a horny bard, you might have a disguise underneath that you want to rip your clothes off and be in a disguise. Alright. If you have... you can change into this disguise to impersonate as a 3-action activity. If you have a master proficiency in deception, it is instead a 2-action activity, and if you have legendary, it is a single action. You can create a new backup disguise by spending the normal amount of time it takes you to impersonate, but you can have only one backup disguise at a time. Having a backup disguise doesn't allow you to remove your armor or any other complex piece of clothing any more quickly, but once you have those off, the disguise is readily available. Because you have the backup disguise at the ready, it is possible that a thorough search might reveal some elements of the disguise, see conceal object, and the stealth skill. Okay, that's kind of cool. These are all very flavorful feats. I'm approaching it as like a murder hobo, I guess, where I'm like, how would this help me fight? But I think a lot of these are meant for flavor and also espionage and, you know, other aspects of play that aren't dungeon delving. Let's see. Confabulator. This is a common core skill. When you, even when caught in falsehoods, you pile lie upon lie. Reduce the circumstance bonus a target gains for your previous attempts to create a diversion or lie from a +4 to a +2. Okay, that's kind of cool. If you're a master in deception, reduce the bonus to +1. And if you're legendary, your targets don't get these bonuses at all. Keep trying to lie to them until you succeed. Cool. Let's see. Discreet inquiry. Alright. Level 2 feat, expert in deception or diplomacy. You are subtle in your efforts to learn the things you need to know. When gathering information, you can hide the true subject of your inquiry among other topics of little interest to you without increasing the difficulty of the check or taking more time to gather information. This is the kind of stuff that a skilled 5e player just tells the GM they're going to try to do, and the GM's like, man, I love how smart you are, and then they just let them do it. Anyone trying to gather information to determine if someone else was asking around about the topic in question must exceed your deception DC or the normal DC to gather information about your inquiries, whichever is higher, or else they don't learn of your secret, discreet efforts. You get more skill feats than there are combat relevant ones. Yeah, so like I'm definitely feeling that, and like I'm like into lore, so I'm probably taking a bunch of lore on my character. Even though all the summoner guides told me to dump intelligence, I just couldn't do it. I wanted to be a smart summoner. I should have probably just been a conjuration wizard, but whatever. Let's see. Quick disguise. This is common core. Level 2 expert. You can set up a disguise in half the usual time, generally 5 minutes. If you're a master, it takes 1/10 the usual time, usually 1 minute. And if you're legendary, you can create a full disguise and impersonate as a 3-action activity. Well, that's freaking awesome. I really like that. Master of Disguise. Alright, so Rumor. This is a character guide uncommon. And this also involves the firebrands. You spread rumors, which may or may not be true, about a specific subject, if the subject of your rumor is not currently the subject of any contradictory rumors. This takes as long as it would normally take you to gather information, typically 2 hours, at the end of which the GM rolls a secret deception check to see how well you spread the rumor. If your rumor matches any current rumors about the subject, it takes less time to spread the rumor. And if you are attempting to overtake a particularly popular and contradictory rumor, it takes much longer or maybe impossible. The DC similarly increases or decreases depending on how plausible your rumor is. This is another thing that there are no rules for in 5e, and that generally if your players are like, I've got an idea, let's spread a false rumor, you're like, dope. Let's do it. And then the DM's like, I guess I'll just make up some quick skill challenge or something. I don't know. So, but yeah, here it is, like all written out with rules and stuff. And you have to take a feat to get it. Critical success. Your rumor spread like wildfire. Anyone who succeeds at a check to gather information on the specific subject learns your rumor in preference to the other rumors about the subject. Hilarious. And your rumor lasts for 1 month. Success, you successfully spread the rumor. Anyone who succeeds at a check to gather information on the specific subject adds your rumor to the list of rumors they could learn about the subject. Your rumor persists for 1 week. Failure, your rumor dies off, never becoming popular enough for other people to learn it via gather information. And then finally, critical failure, you are unable to spread a rumor and take a -4 circumstance penalty to deception checks to sow rumors about the same subject within the same region for 1 week. In addition, a rumor spreads about someone trying to spread false rumors about the subject. Alright, I'm going to put it out here. This is a dope-ass feat. Like, if you don't understand the value of, like, reputation slander, this is a very good feat. This is really good. I'm into this shit. Too bad you have to be a member of the Firebrands. I wonder if a DM would just allow it if you were playing that kind of character. Alright, doublespeak. Okay. So, doublespeak is Mastery in Deception, level 7. You are skilled at saying one thing while meaning something different. You disguise your true meaning behind other words and phrases, relying on subtle emphasis and shared experience to convey meaning that only your allies understand. Any allies who have traveled alongside you for at least 1 full week automatically discern your meaning. I like this. It's kind of like shared thieves' cant from Giphy Glyphs. Other observers must succeed on a perception check against your deception DC to realize you're passing secret message. And they must critically succeed to understand the message itself. Fantastic. Great feat. A+. Then we got Slippery Secrets. This is a Master 7. You elude and evade attempts to uncover your true nature and intentions. When a spell, oh my, or magical effect tries to read your mind, detect whether you are lying, or reveal your alignment, you can attempt a deception check against the spell's DC. If you succeed, the effect reveals nothing. Oh my, non-magical mind shielding? Oh, that's very nice. That's very nice. Okay. Reveal machinations. Alright, Reveal Machinations. This is a level 15 legendary deception feat from Pathfinder 147. You reveal that you played a minor but recurring role in another humanoid's life, or at least convince them that's the case. Oh my god. Attempt a deception check against the target's will DC. On a success, the revelation makes them frightened 2, and on a critical success, they are frightened 3. So, like, Luke, I am your father, but maybe not. In addition, you gain information about the subject as though you had attempted to recall knowledge about them using an appropriate skill, and receive the same result on your roll. You can't use this ability against the same humanoid again until 1 day has passed. Oh my god, you gotta fuck with people every 24 hours? And you've also successfully disguised yourself as a different person. At the DM's discretion, this feat may be used against non-humanoids if they have regular contact with humanoids, or if you're able to disguise yourself as a member of the target's ancestry or type of creature. Yes. Let's see. So all these skill feats. Pro, it's sick when your specialized thing comes up. In my opinion, Pathfinder 2 is basically just pick 15 niche things. You're badass at those. Con, a lot of them are things I would have let a player do if they came up with it, but now they're behind a feat. Do you deny them an ability to do stuff that feats allow, or does that mean you need to know all feats? Overall, the feats are good, but there is a bit of a double edge about having this depth of rules. So, No Nat, who is apparently the Jesus Christ of Pathfinder 2, he addressed this in a video where basically he said, if your players are being creative and having fun, and they have a good idea, but you know that that idea is locked behind feats and abilities that they don't have, or they don't have yet, you should still let them try to do it, but you will set all of the difficulties much higher. So they'll like never really have a chance of spreading a rumor that spreads like wildfire and lasts for a whole month without that ability. But maybe if they got 10 higher than what they would have normally got, they would successfully spread the rumor. Do you see? So like, you still let them try to do all these things that are feat locked, but you set that DC maybe like 10 higher than what it would normally be with the feat. That way, it sort of represents that they didn't make the investment in the feat. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty solid advice. I didn't understand the advice at the time, but now I do, because I've just been randomly absorbing like Pathfinder videos while I'm doing like other stuff in my life. All right, so that is that's it. That's the deception skill. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end the stream, and then I'm gonna start the stream again because I want to talk about something different related to Pathfinder. And that is, yeah, my YouTube is just Pathfinder, and music, of course, for games. So I'm gonna stop the stream, and then I'm gonna immediately start the stream again, and we're gonna talk about something else related to Pathfinder that I'm working on. It's called We Have Pathfinder at Home. So I'll be back in like 5 minutes tops. So I'll be right back. So I'm gonna put this be right back up, but I'm actually going to end the stream. I'm not really going to be right back, but I'm going to be right back. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's see. Okay.